1817, Adams, Tennessee. A prosperous farmer named John Bell starts hearing strange noises in his house, knocking on the walls, scratching at the windows, footsteps in empty rooms. Then the noises become physical attacks. An invisible force slaps his daughter, pulls her hair, and throws her across rooms. It speaks, identifying itself as a witch seeking revenge. For 3 years, this entity terrorizes the Bell family, becoming so famous that even future President Andrew Jackson reportedly came to investigate. The haunting culminates when the witch fulfills its promise on December 20, 1820. John Bell dies under mysterious circumstances, and the entity takes credit for his murder. This makes the Bell Witch the only documented case in American history where a spirit allegedly killed someone. The legend is so powerful that over 200 years later, people still report paranormal activity at the site. This is the Bell Witch haunting America's most famous ghost story. But what really happened? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Bell Witch is legendary in paranormal circles. It's been investigated for over 2 centuries, inspired books and movies, and the cave on the Bell property is still considered one of the most haunted locations in America. Today, we're breaking down the complete story, the theories, and whether any of it is real. Let's get into it. The haunting began sometime in 1817 when John Bell witnessed the apparition of a strange creature resembling a dog with the head of a rabbit. Bell fired at the animal, but it disappeared. His son Drew saw an unknown bird of extraordinary size perched on a fence. These animal sightings were just the beginning. Soon, the Bell family began to hear strange noises, thumps in the walls, creaking and groaning, scratching at the windows. Nothing ordinary explained the noises away. The activity escalated quickly. The invisible entity began physically attacking the family, particularly targeting John Bell's daughter Betsy. She was slapped, pinched, her hair pulled so hard it would yank her out of bed. Witnesses reported seeing her thrown across rooms by an unseen force. The entity would pull blankets off beds in the middle of the night. Objects would fly through the air. The family was terrified but couldn't escape. This thing was in their home, and it was getting stronger. Then the entity began to speak. At first it was just whispers and faint singing, but eventually it developed a full voice, a woman's voice that could be heard clearly by everyone present. The entity engaged in conversations, answered questions, quoted scripture, and sang hymns. It demonstrated knowledge it shouldn't have, reciting sermons from churches miles away that were happening at that exact moment, or revealing secrets about people's lives. The prevailing account is the Bell Witch claimed to be the spirit of Kate Batts, an otherwise unfriendly neighbor of John Bell, who believed she was cheated by him in a land purchase. Kate Batts was a real person who had disputes with John Bell over business dealings. The entity said it had returned from the grave to torment John Bell for his dishonesty. But here's where it gets strange. The witch was also kind to John's wife Lucy, reportedly bringing her fresh fruit once when she was ill and often complimented her. So this wasn't random violence, it was targeted, personal revenge against specific family members. The haunting became so famous that people traveled from all over Tennessee and beyond to witness it. The Bell family couldn't keep it secret, even if they wanted to. The entity would perform for visitors, answering questions, moving objects, demonstrating its powers. Visitors came from all over to bear witness, including war hero and future President Andrew Jackson, who spent a night with his men attempting to draw out the spirit. According to legend, Jackson ventured with some of his men to visit them, and brought with him a wagon full of supplies. As they approached the family's property, their wagon became stuck. The wheels wouldn't turn, the horses couldn't pull it. Jackson's men examined everything and found no explanation. Then a voice spoke from thin air, saying, "All right, General, let the wagon move on. I will see you again tonight." The wagon immediately unstuck, and they continued to the Bell house. That night, the witch supposedly terrified Jackson's men so badly that they begged to leave, and Jackson himself was rattled. However, it's important to note that there is no evidence that Andrew Jackson visited the Bell family home. During the years in question, Jackson's movements were well documented, and nowhere in history or his writings is there evidence of his knowledge of the Bell Witch. This story may be legend rather than fact, added to make the haunting seem more credible. As the years passed and the hauntings continued, John Bell began experiencing strange muscle twitches in his face. These soon progressed to migraines, tingling sensations, fatigue, and seizures. His health deteriorated rapidly. The witch took pleasure in tormenting him during his illness, laughing at his suffering, promising he would die. On December 20th, 1820, John Bell died. A vial was found next to his deathbed with a strange liquid inside. The family tested the liquid on a cat, which died almost instantly. The witch's voice proclaimed, "I gave Ol Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him." The entity had fulfilled its promise. It had killed John Bell, making John Bell's death attributed to the Bell Witch, making Tennessee the only case where a spirit allegedly murdered someone. After John Bell's death, the entity's activity began to decrease. It told the family it would leave, but would return in 7 years. True to its word, in 1828, the entity briefly returned, speaking to the family and making predictions about the future. It then said it would return again in 107 years. In 1935, whether it did or not is unknown, but reports of paranormal activity at the Bell property have continued for over 200 years. The Bell Witch Cave, though it played a relatively minor role in the original Bell Witch legend of the early 19th century, has since become a focal point for visitors hoping to experience a bit of the haunting themselves. Added to the National Historical Registry in 2008, the cave is the only original feature from the legend that can still be seen today, largely unchanged. From the way the Bell family would have seen it in 1817, numerous eerie events have been reported by visitors: cameras malfunctioning, unexplained voices, feelings of being watched. So what really happened? The skeptical explanation is that this was a hoax perpetrated by Betsy Bell herself. She was a teenage girl who may have wanted attention or had reasons to harm her father's reputation. The witch conveniently targeted her and her father while being nice to her mother. She could have faked the attacks, thrown objects when no one was looking, and used ventriloquism for the voice. The Andrew Jackson story was likely added later to give the legend credibility. Another theory is that this was mass hysteria combined with genuine medical issues. John Bell may have been suffering from a neurological condition that caused his seizures and death. The family, stressed and religious, interpreted normal house noises as supernatural. Once the story spread, visitors came expecting to experience something, creating confirmation bias. But believers point to the consistency of the accounts from multiple witnesses over several years. The entity demonstrated knowledge it shouldn't have had. It performed in front of dozens of people simultaneously. And John Bell's death remains suspicious. The mysterious vial of poison was never explained. There are many ghost or haunting tales in American history, but none of them are more documented and evident as the Bell Witch. The human interactions with the spirit date back to 1817, whether supernatural or not. The Bell Witch is America's most famous ghost story and has influenced paranormal culture for over 2 centuries. Today, you can visit the Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee. The property operates as a tourist attraction, offering tours and paranormal investigations. Visitors report camera malfunctions, unexplained cold spots, voices, and feelings of dread. The legend lives on, and something about that place continues to unsettle people. So what do you think? Was the Bell Witch a genuine paranormal entity, or was it an elaborate hoax by the Bell family? Could there be a rational explanation for everything that happened? And why does this legend endure when so many others have been forgotten? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into America's most famous haunting, hit that like button, subscribe for more paranormal content, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.